Got it. David, thanks so much. I appreciate that, Karen. Thank anybody that had anything to do with getting me here. Thank you so much. It's what an honor. And I'm one of those guys. Uh, I'll tell you. My name is Chris R. I'm from Ingram, Texas. We were just talking earlier. That's kind of the epicenter of where that big flood came through up in the Texas hill country. July 4th, we were supposed to do a big fundraiser for our recovery club up here in town, and we had to, of course, cancel all of that because the whole county shut down with the water. And I wish I could turn my camera around and show you that river down here. It looks beautiful right now. It's just amazing what a couple of weeks does. Um, just it was a torrent. I'll never forget that sound as long as I live. At 5:30 in the morning, woke up, walked down the front porch, and like, what is that? And uh, you know, I'm grateful that God spared us, and grateful for all the little volunteers that showed up. And anyway, I want to mention this as I do anytime I get to share. I'm going to do a little conference over in Bryan College Station this weekend, and I'm going to say the same thing there. I'm going to say now at this point. Uh, I'm going to get the opportunity to share my experience with y'all, and folks, my experience may be completely different than your experience. I'm not one of these old guys that's pointing fingers, and you need to. I just, man, if what you're doing is working, man, bop to you drop. Just do it. I'm good with that. And I watch a lot of people out there have the same experience I had, spending a whole bunch of time sitting around the rooms, not getting sober, and then defending myself for continuing to do it. And it's like at a certain point, folks, if it's not working, you got to give something else a try. Because I got to tell you, if I know anything today, I my sober date is November 13th, 1987, folks. And I'm 71. A couple months, I'll be 72 years old. I never intended to get this old. And what? No, really, this has got nothing to do with AA. But you'd think in high school, instead of teaching us some of these little stupid electives that nobody's ever going to use ever in their entire life, they could have had a little class called "Getting Old is a bit." Yeah, I mean, they could have explained some things. God damn, all of a sudden your ass disappears and you got hair growing out of your ears. And I mean, I don't know. But these are our golden years. Yeah, no, they're not. So I just throw that out there. But guys, make sure y'all understand it. If I'm saying something and your sponsor sitting next to you, and that sponsor doesn't, is teaching you something different, your sponsor's right and I'm wrong, and just move on. It's just okay. I'm sharing from experience about what happened to me, and experience of I've done clerical work in treatment centers for years. I've worked with the alumni department for about 32 years, and I watch a lot of people come to treatment, folks. And a lot of those people that come to treatment have the exact same experience I had. Guys, it's not that we don't want to get sober, but if all we're doing is coming to a meeting, we may be struggling. And that's the point I'm saying. I am some people go, well, you're knocking meetings. I've never knocked meetings. And while I'm on that, I'm going to tell you, I love Zooms like you wouldn't believe. Folks, when they came out with that fourth edition, they talked that modem to modem stuff in there. We were going to pick it. We were going to boycott New York. We were going to never send them another dime because they're going to kill us with that. It was ridiculous. And then COVID hit, and every group in the world was looking for an 11-year-old to teach us how to get on Zoom and set up meetings. God bless them. All the little nerds that nobody wanted to talk to. Now all of a sudden, okay, you know, and still to this day, guys, COVID is over, and there's so many good Zooms still out there. And I do, like somebody said earlier, I hope they stay. I hope we always do it, because man, on any given evening, if I'm not traveling and I'm home and I'm just sitting there by myself, man, I'll pop on a Zoom. Where else can you see people from all over the world? I get to see some people in this room right now. Carol, I haven't seen. I mean, that's the only time I get to see her. And a lot of you people out there I've known for years and years and years, and I don't know. Got a chance to talk at Founders Day a few years ago when they did they did a Zoom version when they had to close, you know, Akron down, and they weren't going to do an in-person meeting. And it was the one year that I got to go. I was going to be there in person, and then I got the chance to do Zoom, and it was pretty cool to talk to that many people at one time because there's a lot of people popped on. So yeah, one of the worst things for alcoholics, and I will say this too, little dope fiends from hell too. One of the worst things for any of us is to isolate. I Folks, it's a terrible place to do it. I watch more people relapse around that than anything else. Isolation is the breeding ground for self-pity. And that's the stuff that'll drop us into hot grease. And so man, any opportunity I get to get out of my own little head and talk to some friends, I mean, I want to do that. So anyway, Ingram, Texas is about 65 miles northwest of San Antonio. I'm about 2 hours from Austin, about an hour and a half from San Antonio, and we're right there in the center, almost just to the geographic center of Texas. And I don't know, pops. My dad was raised us early on out in West Texas. He was a printer out in Odessa, Texas. That's where I was born, and out in the oil field. And mom was a professional artist, and she's look up M. Lois Raymer. She was awesome, and I didn't get any of that talent. I wish I had. My sisters did. Both my sisters did, but all I got out of that gene pool was my dad's alcoholism. And he was a nice, sweet guy, guys. I got to tell you, because you listen to some speakers that, man, I'm sure not making light of it. Some people, was raised by a pack of wolves, and it's like they talk about the drama, and we want to. If you're not careful, you'll start believing that that's why they're alcoholics. That ain't true, guys. The jury's in. I mean, genetics plays a huge part. Look up your family tree and give it a good kick, and see how many alcoholics drop out of the top. It can skip generations. One of the biggest fights I ever had with somebody in AA was arguing that point. It's not genetic. I said, my parents were not alcoholic. And then we talked to him a little bit further and found out he was adopted. He didn't have a clue who his parents were. I said, come on, you're missing the point, guys. This little egg, little spermie, come in and get, bam. That's how we get it. That other stuff, the trauma, folks, let me tell you, can exacerbate the daylights out of our drinking. It can make it twice as bad. I got you. I'm not making light of that ever. But, those old timers, when I finally got sober, made it a pretty clear point to me. See, if it's anybody else's fault that you're an alcoholic, you may be doomed. What happens if they don't change? The only person that's got to change in order for me to get well is me. And I change and I'm going to get well. It's pretty cool. I don't have to wait for everything out here to change. I've watched some wonderful examples, folks, of people that lived really, really, really tough lives after they got sober and stayed quite sober. So, and I've watched people that had a perfect life and won the lottery and had all the money in the world and drank like a fish because they simply didn't do the things necessary like we're talking about. So anyway, Dad moved us from Odessa quick as he could to Kerrville. He loved water, and he couldn't wait. And it was an idyllic childhood, folks. We were raised on a street called Goat Creek Road. I mean, how Texas can yet get? I mean, come on, really. And down there in Kerrville, Texas, just 6 miles or so. Driving into town right after the flood, I made sure that I could see the tree, the big old cypress tree that I had my first drink under is still there. I'm so grateful it didn't get washed away. We lost a lot of those big trees. And I was in high school, I guess. I was a bussing tables at a local hotel. I was about 16 years old, 17. And this is before child labor laws, guys. If you were willing to work, they'll hire you anywhere. And that's, you could work heck all night long in hotels. And I did. I mean, and a buddy of mine stole a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine from someplace. Any of you old hippies ever drink? Yeah, y'all are the only ones that ever smile when I say that. It's Boone's Farm. Yeah, and all the little kids just look puzzled. What's that? Never mind. You wouldn't understand. But anyway, welcome to the 70s. 1971, the year and the month that Bill Wilson passed away, I took my first drink. I took that bottle with my friend and Edward, and we went down there and leaned up against that big old cypress tree. It's about 9, 10 o'clock at night, folks, and drank that bottle. And I should say I drank the bottle. He had a couple of sips of it and he didn't like the way it tasted. And he said, "That tastes like crap." And I said, "Yeah, it's not quite what I thought it was going to taste like either." And he said, "Well, I'm going to go home." And he says, "Well, wait. But let me make sure I understand. But you don't want any more of this, correct? Because I know I'm going to drink the rest of this bottle." You know, well, I didn't like the way it tasted either, but I'm starting to feel something. I had sips of my dad's beers and stuff, folks, but I've never had enough in my body to do anything. And I mean to tell you, I killed it. It was not a big bottle. It was like a water bottle full. And I drank that Boone's Farm and sat there with a big shitty grin on my face and walked back across the field to the house and picked up the phone and called. Y'all remember phones when they were on the wall and had the little wire sticking out its butt? Yeah, call the prettiest girl in high school. She didn't want to talk to me at 10 o'clock at night. You know, mom's over there saying that's not a good idea. You know, no big deal. Just guys, for the first time in my young adult life, I felt comfortable in my skin. And that's what so many people don't understand, guys. I get changed when I drink. I don't get drunk. If I could drink and y'all and get to that point and stop drinking, I'd still be drinking. It's wonderful stuff. That's not the way it worked out. Early on, it was, guys. I had long periods of time. Like I said, I got a chance to cook for a living and got an apprentice job in Houston, Texas, at a big old hotel. And my mom knew somebody that just connections, and I got this job. And first time I'd ever been in a big city, and we got an apartment. There's about I don't know 5 of us living in this apartment. You know how it is when you're kids, and golly, beanbag chairs and green shag carpet. Oh my God, we line, yeah. And the next door neighbor was old enough to buy booze. Guys, we're 18 years old. We can't even. I mean, we had to stay in that apartment because we were. That was the only one around that would let us sign a lease at 18. You couldn't buy booze back then until you were 21. But we had the next door neighbor, and they'd buy us booze, and I could drink at work in the kitchen. So we had a little bit. And I'm not getting in any trouble. I'm having a good time, holding it together. But guys, as time went on, I started, excuse me, I started changing jobs. And I don't know if any of y'all ever made a geographic trying to change jobs, but I'd have a fight with somebody at work, and I'd go get it, and by the afternoon I'd have a different job. No big deal. I'm in the food business. What the heck? And I started moving around, and I was in Houston, Texas, I guess, for a couple of years. And I went to Austin, Texas, and then I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and then I came back to Houston, Texas. I mean, what's what we're just bouncing around, guys. Every place I show up, I'm there, and I'm drinking, but it's starting to cause some problems, folks. I'm drinking a little bit too much, and I don't know. On one of my geographics, like I said, I'd gone back to Houston, and I'd gotten into business with a couple of guys, and we opened a little barbecue restaurant. Actually, it was an old historic barbecue restaurant in Houston, and we took it over, and we did really well for a short time. After I left, the owners, my partners, burned it down, and literally, and it was yeah, too bad. But I ended up getting married right after we bought that place. I married this little girl, and she was from Houston, and nice as could be. She was a sweetheart, and got married and moved up to Dallas, Texas, to be closer to my brother. Some of y'all know Myers, my twin brother, and we're thick as thieves, guys. And so I just moved up close, and he, um, I don't know, I had everything going for me, guys. I mean, we bought a little house, and you know, that's the way it is in Texas, guys. The Holy Trinity in Texas: job, girl, pickup truck, score. And I got all of that. Everything's going good, but I'm not happy. And I mean, this nice lady kept asking me, she said, "What's wrong with you? You just seem depressed." And I am. You know, uh, I wish somebody had told me that the untreated alcoholism, one of the number one symptoms of it is depression. I'm miserable when I'm not drinking. And I can hit that target most times, but sometimes I'll overshoot that craving that the doctor's opinion talks about, and I'll end up drinking too much. But I got to tell you, I'm in working for this guy. He was a sweetheart, but he did. I know this is an AA meeting. I'm going to mention it one time. He did a lot of cocaine, and everybody in the early '80s, guys, y'all don't think I'm making this up, but y'all need to know it for a fact if you don't already. Everybody in the United States in the early '80s was doing cocaine. That's just a fact. No, you're shaking your head. You were. I'm telling you. No, no. Your grandmother was doing cocaine. Anyway, I've done a little cocaine with this guy. I'd never done it before. I just a little bump and I was drinking all day like normal. And I don't remember what the fight was about, but I came home and I had a pushing match with my wife. And I come from this family, front row of the Baptist church. We don't do pushing matches. And she asked me to leave, and I did. I came back in a few hours later. She let me back in. I sobered up a little bit, and we had the conversation. You know, y'all know the conversation, the discussion. And she looked me right and straight in the eyes, and she said, "Chris, if you want to stay married to me, you're going to have to stop drinking." She knew I drank. She didn't know how much, and she didn't know about that other stuff. And I promised her, guys, I got to tell you, with tears in my eyes, I looked her in the face and told her that I would never touch another drop, and I meant it. I could have passed a polygraph, guys. I'm not blowing smoke. Always somebody wants to make a joke. Oh, alcoholics' mouth moving, they're lying. I was not lying. I meant it. And a week and a half later, the chef asked me if I wanted a beer after work and go over some function sheets. And I said, yeah. And I drank one beer and I'm all excited because I didn't get drunk. My deal with her wasn't I wasn't going to come home drunk. My deal with her was I wasn't going to touch another drop. And she split. She should have. I had 7 more years left in me. I'd gone to AA the next week, guys, and I got to tell you, they were the nicest people you'd ever come across. I liked them. They're good folks, and I'm trying to, understand what's going on. And I kept going. My experience, folks, if I say anything to make you uncomfortable, I nearly died sitting in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. AA is different in everywhere, but I'm going to meetings where the emphasis is on one thing. Meeting makers make it. Okay, 90 meetings, 90 days. You can just okay. Some of y'all heard me talk before. I said it at Founders Day. I was just talking about if I could click my finger and get rid of one thing in Alcoholics Anonymous, it would be that term, 90 meetings in 90 days. We set people up for failure every day when we do that. It's okay for that little college kid that's living in his mom's basement, doesn't have a job. Hell, he can go to 120 meetings in 90 days. It's all right. But that single mom with 2 kids, trust me, it ain't going to happen. And then somebody's idiot's going to make them start over. Oh, you have to start over now. Just quit. There's not one thing in this big book that says if you go to a meeting every day, you'll stay sober. Oh, but it does say if you work the steps, you will. But I don't own a big book. And the people that are talking, they're not talking about big books. Y'all, we're not talking about the steps. They're on the wall. You can see them up there on the little window shade deals like that. But we're not talking about that. I'll come back in. I relapsed again, and I'm going to pick up a desire chip. Okay, well, let's tell Chris how we got here. And everybody's going to go around one more time and tell me their scary war stories. Guys, I can't relate. I've never missed a day's worth of work. All my drinking. I got a great work ethic from my dad. I'm not robbing liquor stores. I'm not taking my clothes off in public often. I did one time. I'm just going to say, I'll just throw that out there, guys. I did one. But I can't relate to all the scary stories. And I can't tell you, I think the word is discernment. The Christians use that word discernment. And I think we ought to pay attention to what we're doing. If you're in a group of people and you got a little newcomer about 20 years old coming in, y'all follow? They've been to treatment, they've been in and out. They don't want to hear your war story. You're not going to scare them into recovery, folks. Stop. I'll tell you what happened, guys. I was in a I'll never forget. I was in a meeting up in North Texas and big old meeting, and it was like a big old metal building, and outside there was a big gravel parking lot where all the pickup trucks were parked, and they had big floodlights in the parking lot. And we finished the meeting and did the same. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Okay. And walked out to the front, and everybody's talking about where they're going to go to dinner. I'm about 3 days sober, 4 days maybe, and everybody's hustling off with their friends. They're going to go to dinner, and I'm sitting there by myself on the front porch, and everybody's gone. I walk out to my pickup truck, lean on the front, look around, the parking lot's empty. Last car pulls out. Some old geezer comes out and looks around, and turns the spotlights, big floodlights in the parking lot off. And there I am, one more time sitting in the parking lot by myself. And I get in the car and I drive to the 7-Eleven and I buy me a 6-pack of beer and go home. I'm miserable, folks. I'm detoxing. I'm scared to death. 27 places in the big book it uses the word approach. Us old geezers are supposed to be grabbing hold of them little newcomers. I don't know why we think that the newcomer is going to know what to ask, what to do. They don't. And don't think that the treatment centers are teaching them. Some do, some don't. Especially these days, a lot of them don't even talk about 12 steps anymore. Insurance companies could care less. All they want to do is put you on Suboxone and pat you on the ass and see what happens. So many places. I'm just saying, folks, I'm not blaming anybody. I could have asked for help. I just didn't know what to ask. I'm doing what you're asking me to do. 1987, I picked up a stack of return checks in the mail and went to my apartment and opened them up and realized I'd bounced the rent check again. And guys, I'm working for my twin brother. I do okay financially, but I'm also drinking a bunch. Following him, I'm not managing my money. I'm not paying my bills. My credit sucks, and I get crazy, and I'm living in a town I don't want to be in. I'm working at a job. I'm so grateful I've got it, but I'm no good at it. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have any friends, and I just get up. I go take a couple of bottles of pills out of the medicine cabinet and try to commit suicide. Guys, I'm on 7 prescription medications a day, all doctor prescribed. I got a psychiatrist in Dallas. I got it there. I'm doing everything I think I'm supposed to do to get well. I'm in IOP. I got my triggers list. I'm ready. I fed the little ferrets and laid down to die. And I believe God saved me that night. I heard a voice that said, "Don't do this, go back to AA." And I don't want to go back to AA, guys. I've tried it. I've done it for 7 years. And I've never picked up a 30-day chip in 7 years. Okay. But I got up and made myself sick, and I laid down on the side of the bed, and thank God I didn't die. And the next morning, that voice is still in my head, and I made a commitment that night to go back to Alcoholics Anonymous. And as luck would have it, I'm running late. I can't get to the old meetings I used to go to. So I went to a meeting that somebody had told me about. They showed me where the meeting was. And he said, "Go there, buddy. It's a big book meeting if you ever want to get sober." And I didn't know what a big book meeting was, but it didn't sound good. I guarantee you're not going to get a date in that room. So I parked in the back of the little AA meeting, and I didn't want anybody to see me coming back to Alcoholics Anonymous. My mom was so funny. After I'd been sober for about 6 months, she said, "Boy, I think I screwed up." Said, "I put you on the prayer list of every church in North Texas." She said, "I even told the Catholics." Oh man, my mom, good Baptist. I mean, good heavens, she was digging deep there. It might have worked. Who knows? Because I got sober. But I walked in the back door, and I got to tell it because I got real self-conscious. I walked in, I'm detoxing, and chairperson waved, said, "Chris, come up here." And I said, "No, I'll come back Monday. I'm gonna go home and detox." And I took a step back, and this little girl had snuck up on my blind side and got her finger in my belt loop, and she said, "Sit down, cowboy, you're not going anywhere." She's laughing. She set me down in a chair. And I'm looking around like, what's cowboy my what? I'm Her sponsor was across the way. This little girl was probably 18, 19 years old. I'm 35 years old, and I'm just, her sponsor was across the way and couldn't get to me. She said, "Get him." And she did. No, guys, if she hadn't have done that, I'd have left. And I can't guarantee you that I wouldn't have gone home and finished the job. Anybody in this crowd, guys, we got 149 people in here. If you think for a second that you have any idea who God's going to use to help you in this life, you're probably wrong. I mean, if somebody had said that this little 18-year-old girl was going to save my life, bless her heart. She got me a cup of coffee and a bunch of paper towels to clean up. I was shaking, spilling as fast as I could drink it. But real quick, the chairperson saw me and he said, and I knew what was going to happen. Here's going to happen. Okay, we got a newcomer coming back. let's go around the room and let's tell Chris how we got here. I've sat in 1,000 meetings just like that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to have to listen to you talk about eating out of a dumpster and all this other crazy shit. Okay. All right, bring it on. Make it good. He didn't. He looked at the steps and he looked back at me and he said, listen, we got a newcomer coming back. Why don't we tell Chris, why don't we go around and share how our lives have changed as a result of working the steps? What, what? I never heard that as a topic. And they did, guys. Lady right across catty corner held up her car keys. She was a year and something sober. She got her a brand new car in the parking lot. Beautiful. Yeah. I just got turned down 2 weeks earlier for a $500 car loan. Guys, I'm trying to buy a newer, older pickup. You know, it was one of those deals, and one that the windows would actually roll up on. And the bank wouldn't lend me the money. And this girl got her a brand new car out in the parking lot. The guy sitting next to her, excuse me, had started a little landscape business. He was all excited about making a little money. Lady at the end of the table, and she was in her 40s, guys. I don't know how she was, but she'd gone back to art school. She had a sketch pad. And she used to sketch in meetings. And she was just, she got an art degree at 40 years old. How cool. And the guy next to me kept tapping me on the shoulder, scaring me. I can't see on this side. Stop tapping me on this shoulder, you idiot. He had Polaroid pictures of his kids. This little guy had gone to AA and met a little AA girl, and they made some little AA babies, and he was all excited about his new little family. After the meeting, they asked me if I wanted to stay sober a day at a time again, and I picked up my last desire chip. It's in this closet right behind me. I was pumped, folks. People always making fun. Chris, you think meetings ought to all be pep rallies? Yeah, pep rallies for God. You better believe it. If I never go into a pissing and moaning meeting where everybody's sitting around complaining about their day, it'll be too soon for me. I'm just saying, welcome to go to any meeting you want to go to. These two old cowboys stopped me after the meeting. I'm on the way out and they stopped me. And guys, I got to tell you real quick, this guy was stereotypical Texan. Some of you guys, y'all know, if you're thinking about Texas, you think a guy in these tan pants and he got a white snap button shirt, y'all follow with a little bolo on it, got a big old Stetson on, big old cowboy hat. He's got a Cadillac in the parking lot with bullhorns on the front. No, really. I mean, his name was JR. He's been dead for years, guys. Y'all think I'm making that shit up? You know, it's like, he said, Chris, we want to sit with us for a few minutes. Maybe we can help you figure out why you can't stay sober. And I said, oh, I must have forgot to tell you. Don't you remember me? I have a psychiatrist in Dallas, Texas. I have professionals all around me trying to help me stay sober. Now this old cowboy wants to help me. And God loving me did. He asked me if I had a big book. I told him no. And he opened a closet. I didn't know where you got them. Opened a closet and there was a case of them in there and he got me one. And he opened it. He showed me, he says, Chris, sit with us for a minute. And they showed me the first step. Guys, we didn't start on the title page and start reading. I know a lot of people do that. If you've got time to do that, that's fine. But early on, if somebody's working through the steps, they don't have time to read the whole book. They're going to die. This is a race. There's a little window of opportunity, folks, that you'll get some relief. And then when that window closes, that obsession's coming back and you're not going to call your sponsor. You're going to go get loaded. That's what we do. That's why I watch so many people just relapse after relapse after relapse. The truth is, if you read the history, and I can send you the sites, nobody took their time to work the steps. Somebody sent me the other day a website called storiesofrecovery.org. And it was about my sponsorship lineage. He mentioned Don Pritz and Mark Houston and Gary Brown was my sponsor for years. I mean, if you look in there, they got speaker tapes from all of those people. But that whole deal was there was a bunch of people that were struggling to stay sober, and they got together and they leaned on each other and they worked the steps at a quick pace, and they got well. All of them, with the exception of one guy. If we could just speed things up. Early guys in Alcoholics Anonymous, guys, didn't spend more than a couple of days working the steps. They're out there making amends. and doing service work. This nonsense of taking a year to work the steps is just what I said. It's nonsense. Guys, if you can't reconcile it with what's in a book, why don't we try something else? The guy that brought AA to Texas, a guy named Larry Jewell, has never been to a meeting. Doctor said he needed to get out of that cold. He had a job offer in Houston. He got on a train, read the big book that the members had given him, and he read the big book and got to Houston and started writing articles about Alcoholics Anonymous. The first pamphlets were published by those articles in AA. And he got out there and started meetings, working with other alcoholics. Pretty cool. The way it was supposed to be. Anyway, I went home that night. Real quick, they showed me the doctor's opinion of the physical craving, and then over in chapter of the alcoholics and stuff, there's a solution. They talked to me, they showed me the mental obsession stuff, and they talked about the spiritual malady. I've got a little quick guide. I'll put my little email in that chat if it lets me. And y'all email me and just say quick guide, and I'll show you that little first step to help, because that's where we bog down, guys, is trying to qualify these folks. And it takes weeks to do that. They're not going to stick around mostly. The real alcoholics won't. They'll twist off. So, but I'll be glad to send it to you. It just speeds things up a little bit. I went home that night with tears in my eyes, crying, because the first time I knew what was wrong with me. I didn't have all those psychiatric disorders that the doctors had diagnosed me with. What I had was untreated alcoholism. Guys, when I stop drinking alcohol, I get worse, not better. That spiritual malady stuff starts to come back, that irritable, restless discontent the book talks about. Read the bedevilments on page 52. You know, all of that, trouble in personal relationships, fear, unable to help other people, depression, all of this stuff starts to come back with a vengeance. And the pain of not drinking one stupid day at a time gradually outweighs the benefits in my head, the insanity returns. And my head says, you could probably have one beer. And I drink one beer and I'm off to the races. Anyway, the next morning, those guys showed me how to make a pot of coffee. And then we went to the 10 o'clock morning meeting, had the same deal, talking about some positive stuff. And then we went in the back room and did a third step prayer. And we went and got some Mexican food and came back, and they gave me a notebook and they showed me how to do a 4-step. What the heck? Guys, just like the early guys in AA did it. Two weeks in, I've got a completed 4-step. Haven't even dumped the 5th step yet. My sponsor's out of town. And I'm sitting on the tailgate of my truck, and it dawns on me the obsession's completely gone. I'm surrounded by liquor stores, guys. Places I've got, and this the last thing I want. It's Friday. I got money in my pocket. I'm done. I haven't thought about taking a drink since, folks. That was 37 years ago. I've had some tough days. You want to talk about stress? Yeah. Watch that floodwater come up to your front porch. But not once did I think about taking a drink. I've been through a divorce in recovery. Just wanted to die. But not once did I want to take a drink. Guys, that position of neutrality, safe and protected, is a real promise. That's what happens. Boy, tell a newcomer that. Stop trying to scare them in. All we have is today. Don't get me started. I got to tell you real quick and let y'all go here pretty quick. I'm watching the smokers. I'm just saying. I don't have to watch a clock. All I got to do is watch the smokers. They start getting agitated. All right. They're ready to go. I guess right after I sat on that tailgate, I guess it was the next week. I was in there about 3 weeks, and that one of those guys that 12-stepped me and said, and these guys are so good, guys. I'm so grateful that these guys, I'm landed in a group full of people that not one of these guys spent any time at all telling me what I could and couldn't do. They picked me a little hippie sponsor and as a pipe carrier, and I mean, just a sweetheart of a guy. You know, we got about as much common as the man in the moon, but he knew how to do the work, and he showed me what to do, and it was, yeah. They didn't spend any time telling you can't date, you can't get a job, you can't do that, you can't do that. None, the book doesn't say that's the stuff that makes us look like a cult. Stop it. You don't want me to date because you think a girl is going to get me drunk. Now you're feeding into this nonsense out there that something external is causing me to drink. It's not true. If the obsession leaves, guys, you're golden. You'll learn your lesson. God dang, come to a crazy gene pool like this and look for a while. Okay, go ahead. I'm so lucky I got me one. This last time I said, I'm going to marry somebody that's in the program. Ain't nothing better. I got to tell you, we get to sit there in meetings together and watch. I'm watching my guys and she's watching my guys watch her girls. Oh, it's a shit show. It's the best. We have the best time. Anyway, this guy comes up and he said, Chris, we're thinking about nominating you for chairman of the cleanup committee at this group. If you come to group conscience next week, let's talk about it. I says, I'll come to group conscience, but you can forget it. I don't want to be your cleanup committee guy. I'm not interested because I work in the food business for so many years, guys. They think I know how to clean the kitchen. I do. And I went to the group conscience. I hadn't even sat down and got a sip for my coffee, and they voted me in as chairman of the cleanup committee. God dang, I was so pissed. After the meeting was over, and after the meeting was over, I walked in the kitchen and I said, okay, okay, okay. I said, listen, if I'm going to do this, I need a list of the other committee members so that I can organize a cleaning rotation for the club. I'm going to get in this. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And he spit coffee clear across the kitchen. He did. He liked it. He said, Chris, there's no committee. You're the janitor at the group. Okay. Now I'm pissed. I'm not going to get an office. I'm not going to get anything like that. God damn. I stayed away for a couple of days as I was going to punish him. And on a Friday afternoon, my twin brother, who hadn't gotten sober yet, he's got a couple more months and he gets sober. But he lets me off early. And 1 o'clock, I go down to that club. He's giving me the keys to the club, and I lock myself in that club and I clean that place like a big dog. You'll follow? I know how to clean a kitchen. I know how to clean them. What is it about AA club bathrooms? I just don't understand. What they look like? What do you think it is? An Exxon station? Pick that crap off the floor. I'm just saying. They've ruined me. I'm become the automatic hall monitor. I'm checking your feet to make sure there, no mud on them. Guys, these guys understood it. These guys understood. They told me straight. Said, you find a job in AA, you'll stay. I cannot tell you how many newcomers come into Alcoholics Anonymous. They sit around until they just get bored coming to meetings. Get them a job. Let them make coffee. Let them chair a goddamn meeting. They did me. They're right there to teach you. That's how you learn, guys, by doing it. I clean that club like a big boy. 5:30, I got a pot of coffee made. Meeting starts at 6 o'clock, and I'm sitting in that room all soaking wet, sweating my butt off. I mean, I'm talking clean. And I hear the front door open up, and I hear the little matriarch of the group walk in. You could tell it was her because you could hear her sliding on the linoleum. She's about 3 feet tall. Maybe, I don't know. She's the smallest thing. Yeah. She's about 140 years old. And she looks like a little question mark walking in the hall like that. She just slides in like that. And I hear her squealing in the kitchen, and she goes around to the bathroom, and she's making all kinds of noise in there. And she looks around the hall. She looks around the door into the room where I'm at. We're the only people in the whole club. She looks around and she said, did you clean this place? And I said, yes, ma'am. If I'd had a tie on, I'd have straightened it. Yes, ma'am. Shh, be quiet. She walked around behind me. I still want to cry every time I say it. I can still feel her voice on my cheek. She puts her little arm around me, gives me a little back hug, and she said, boy, we need you here. Guys, I'm 3 weeks away from a suicide attempt because I felt absolutely useless. I did not try to commit suicide because I was in a blackout or drunk to my guts. I had been drinking. Y'all understand? I'm just done. I'm so tired of not having a life. I'm spiritually dead. And this lady told me the one thing I needed more than anything. She didn't know it, maybe. Bless her heart. I was that club's janitor for 5 years. Then I moved to the hill country and got a cleanup job. Y'all understand? I haven't not had a job in 37 years. I got a little something going on. Some of you guys, it doesn't have to be sponsorship. It doesn't have to. Some of y'all are great in service guys. That pitch that Carol gave too about the loners and stuff. How cool is that? I'm not organized enough to remember that stuff to get it. I tried service at that level at one time. I'm just terrible. I don't do conflict well. I can't figure it out. Some of you people, there's a lady down the island where I used to go to meetings. She would decorate the club. That was her job. She volunteered. We couldn't wait for Halloween to come so we could see those decorations. They were the best. Come on, guys. Whatever you can do to help somebody, to make somebody else's life better, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Bill Wilson says, on 129, Bill Wilson says, and on the bottom of the page, he says, in those first days of convalescence, nothing will so much help you stay sober as intensive work with other alcoholics. Bill Wilson talks in 14 and 15 about the how we grow spiritually. Unless you grow spiritually through work and self-sacrifice for others, you won't survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. It didn't, maybe I misread that. Yeah, I did. Maybe it said, unless you go to 90 meetings in 90 days, you're not going to. No, it did not say that. Sorry, my sarcasm gets the best of me sometimes. I'm not knocking meetings, guys. Go. But while you're there, try to find that little newcomer. Man, Myers is the best at it. My twin brother, he'll be sitting in a meeting and he can pick them out faster than anybody. I'll be over there setting the books out, getting ready, because that's my little job at the club, at our little AA group, and try to get these newcomers to read some of our great literature in AA. It's like pulling teeth, for heaven's sakes. There's some great stuff out there. And I get and he'll look over and there's a little guy sitting over there by himself, looking down at the ground, got him a cup of coffee, no big book. It's a big book meeting. Everybody knows to bring a big book. He didn't have a big book. And Myers makes a beeline. Y'all follow? He sponsors half the guys. He makes a beeline for this guy. Hey, what's going on? What's your name? You got a big book? I get busy doing something else and I look over there pretty soon, Myers has got that kid sitting next to him. He pushes everybody down. Y'all follow? No, get out of here. Let my little new friend sit here. Yeah. And the next meeting in 2 days, that kid's going to be back because he was made to feel wanted. He wasn't ignored. Guys, we have never in the history of Alcoholics Anonymous, since the Jack Alexander article came out, we have never once had problems getting people to come into Alcoholics Anonymous. We have a really chore on our hands getting people to stay. And that's a crying shame. Because I got to tell you, you'll never find my mom. We used to take her when she was really old, before she passed away. We'd take her to speaker meetings all the time. She'd love it. And she'd go to those speaker meetings and she'd leave with us and we'd take her home and Mom, you okay? She got kind of quiet over there and you look, she had tears in her eyes. I says, what's up? She said, man, every time I go to that meetings, I look around the room and I wish we could find that kind of love in our churches. Yeah. Y'all hear that sound? For the last 3 weeks, that's all we hear constantly. Buddy, that's what this thing is about. You get to be a part of a fellowship. I'm in my meeting the other day and a bunch of these little newcomers staying in sober livings. And I said, what are y'all doing back over there? Y'all look like you're into something shady. You know, they're all laughing and talking. They got a little notebook and then they got a little sign-up sheet. He says, Chris, we're going to go out there and volunteer for the cleanup. We're going to go clean up down there in the flood stuff. Really? Guys, these are little dumpster fires. Y'all understand that? Just a month ago, you wouldn't even want to be alone in the same room with them. You know, little crazy, God, little knuckleheads. And now they're over there trying to figure out how they can best serve a bunch of people out there. God bless them. That's what this whole thing is about. I had to say this and let you go, guys. I was speaking at the South Carolina State Conference a few years ago and got up Saturday morning to get ready for my day's worth of talk and had fell on the floor, couldn't get up. I had a case of vertigo stuff. I didn't know what to call it at the time, but that's what it was. And I hit the carpet and I finally found my phone and called my little host and they were there like that. And the people in that group, folks, of course, I had to cancel my talk. I couldn't even stand up without throwing up. And they got me to emergency room. They had people in that group sat with me for 2 days until I could get my stuff together enough to get on a plane and get back home. And then they called and checked on me. Y'all follow? And people in AA that were there and missed me that night and found out what was wrong were calling me and offering me suggestions about what to do. Come on, guys. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous is about. It's not this bunch of rigid, you got to do this and you got to, it's not that. It's the epitome of what love looks like. It was first century Christianity. Get off your butt and stop feeling sorry for yourself and go help somebody. And the whole world changes. I don't know, guys. I love it. And I'm grateful and I hope I get to do it as long as I can. And I got to tell you, it's an honor to know y'all. And I just enjoyed like the heck out of getting to see y'all on these Zooms. And I hope I get to see some of y'all soon. And if y'all ever need anything, I am going to get down. If I can get on that chat, I'm going to put my email on there. And y'all email me and I'll send you that little quick first step thing if you want it. And be glad to do that. Thank y'all so much for having me.